Welcome to day 11 of the Marvel Movie Marathon, and today we're looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The first Guardians was a huge success and won the summer it came out. It was a box office smash because it had a little something for everyone, and there was no doubt mega hype for the sequel. How on earth could they top themselves? Well, during the production, we found out that Kurt Russell would be playing Star-Lord's father in this movie, which was pretty exciting because he's a pretty big name and he's a talented actor, and we'll finally get to solve this mystery that was left hanging at the end of the first movie. The story basically revolves around the mystery of Star-Lord's father, while there's a subplot being handled on the Ravager ship, and that's the main issue with this movie right off the bat. The story is kind of weak because you spend so much time on the planet getting to know who Ego is. There's like tons of exposition. Once Rocket and Groot get kidnapped by the Ravagers, the movie comes to a halt because I love the beginning of this film. It starts off with a bang, and then I love the ending of this film, which ends with a bang. But the middle section just kind of drags. It gave me that Iron Man 2 feeling, which is not good. But rewatching this movie, I have way more respect for it than I did the first time around, because you can see that they're not trying to top themselves. The first Guardians was a big epic adventure, and it was an introduction to these characters, but this time they're focusing exactly on that. They're focusing on their character. This is more like Guardians of the Fields than Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody's going through some type of emotional trauma. Even Yondu, who came off as a one-dimensional villain in the first film, he gets a lot to do here and some shining moments as well. He's dealing with the Ravagers kind of like turning their back on him because he broke the code when he gave all those kids to Ego. And then you got Nebula still trying to best Gamora because their father Thanos put them against each other constantly. But at the end of the day, she just wants her sister's acceptance. She doesn't want to fight her. It's because of their crazy ass father that they're like this. I would love to see a whole movie just focusing on those two growing up. It's fascinating, and I also would have preferred to get more backstory on Thanos. But we'll get back to him at some point. Then you got Rocket pushing his friends away because he's a straight up dick in this movie. He wants to show off by flying the ship through an asteroid field, and then he's the reason why they're on the run in the first place, because they stole from this group called the Sovereign and they just want what's theirs, and he steals these batteries for no reason. So he has to deal with constantly pushing his friends away. And then even Drax gets a moment where he talks about his family and this new character named Mantis. Her superpower is basically learning the feelings of the characters. So she touches Drax in that moment and she starts crying. And it's crazy thought to think that Drax is holding all this emotion inside of him, and he's not even emoting with his face. He's just sitting there. Mantis is struggling to keep Ego's secret, but she is a great addition to the group, by the way. Her other superpower is putting people to sleep, like Jigglypuff. And I love how just carefree she is, and we need more girls in the Marvel Universe. And Peter, of course, is dealing with finding out who his father is and why he wasn't around for all that time. The best part of this movie, hands down, is Drax. He steals the show. You never expect the strength of the team to be the comic relief, but hearing him laugh is a delight. I never get tired of hearing Drax laugh. It's the best. I could watch a whole movie of him just making jokes and making fun of everyone. I love Drax. And then you got Baby Groot, because in the original, we lost the original Groot. This is not the same Groot. The director himself has gone on record saying this Baby Groot is his son. So Groot's gone, man. Sorry to burst your bubble, But Baby Groot is adorable, and his purpose is to sell toys. Now, this movie, again, it's about just getting into what makes the characters tick and their emotions and their feelings. The first movie had some pretty emotional moments, especially in the opening where Peter Quill's mom dies and Groot's sacrifice at the end. You know, they're heartbreaking. But in this film, they're just twisting the knife, man. They want to make you cry in this movie. And, you know, I'll admit, I teared up at a few scenes, especially Peter's relationship with his dad. You know, I didn't have a strong relationship with my father, so that's crazy relatable. Seeing them play catch, you know, I felt it. I was like, damn, man, like, it must feel so good to reunite with your father and finally get that moment where you could bond. You know, a lot of people are missing that from their lives. So to have him turn into a bad guy at the end of the film is incredibly disappointing. I didn't know who the bad guy was going in. I guess I was too naive to figure it out early on, but yeah, when he turns into like the stereotypical Marvel villain, you know, it bums me out because I would have loved to see him carry on in a different movie, because we spend a huge chunk of this movie just learning his backstory. But why on earth would he tell Peter about his mom and expect him to be cool with it? It makes absolutely no sense. For a celestial or a god, it was probably the dumbest part of the movie. They're basically just chilling out on this planet for most of the movie, while they have this subplot with the Ravagers, which goes on way too long. They should have wrapped that up a little quicker. And I usually don't say like, hey, I wish the movie was shorter, but in this case, I think they should have tightened some scenes. They let a few jokes go on way too long. And the only solution I can offer is maybe if Peter and his father went on a mission and we were getting this information throughout the mission, you know, like they needed something to complete the expansion, like they needed an extra piece instead of just hanging out on the soundstage and talking, because that's a big chunk of this movie. And don't get me wrong, I love when the characters interact with each other. I love hearing them talk about their past and stuff like that. But you know, you want a little more bang for your buck. You want to see the Guardians take action like they did the last time. And Drax barely gets to do anything. I hate in a huge ensemble movie where there's characters kind of left in the background. He gets a moment in the beginning when he throws himself off the ship and he's shooting down the Sovereign fleet. But by the end of the movie, he's just there to make fun of Mantis and save her in the end. It's kind of like, really? But they do give some depth to Yondu, and the scene where he sacrifices himself at the end pulls at your heartstrings. Like, if you can watch that scene without a quivering lip, you know, I salute you, because it's tough to watch, and that's what this movie is about. It's about family. Yondu wasn't his real father, but he's the one that raised him, and that's why it hits so hard, because you feel his anguish. Like, these people, I wouldn't call them superheroes, because superheroes don't get that emotional. They kind of just like dust themselves off to save the day. But the great thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're so relatable. They're just like regular people trying to work out their differences and, you know, just be content in their lives. And once in a while, they just happen to save the galaxy. And then there's a beautiful funeral at the end, which again is very emotional, especially from a film that has a talking raccoon who swears and curses. It makes you feel things. It, you know, makes you feel sad. The movie ends on a shot of Rocket crying, for crying out loud. It's kind of insane. So at first, you know, I was disappointed with this movie because it didn't deliver on the high standards of the first. But it's not trying to do that. It's trying to give depth to this dysfunctional family. And, you know, even though I don't get as much action as I wanted, I can still appreciate what the filmmaker was trying to do. And it's trying to make you care about the characters. And at the end of the day, that's what's important, because you can't have a good movie without great characters. I also love that they tossed out like 5 post-credit scenes in this one. They were just like, screw it, do them all. Let's just do a bunch. And even the credits has like the most personality you're ever gonna see in any of these movies. They have like little images in the corner dancing, and the music in this movie is off the hook. I definitely like this soundtrack a lot better than the first one. First one's great, but this one, I actually like went back and re-listened to a few of the songs because I enjoyed them that much. Even if these guys weren't in the Marvel universe, I would still love this franchise. But the fact that it's part of a bigger universe that's happening out there is just icing on the cake. Now that we're waist deep in phase 2, I think it's time we check in on our favorite super soldier. I'm excited because these next stretch of films are all great. But yes, we're finally going to look at the Captain America sequel, The Winter Soldier. Thank you for watching.